It's part 2 of our interview with Kechi Okwuchi this week on the TrailBlazers.
So honey, now, take me into your loving arms. Music was my escape, and that's why it means so much to me.
Oh my God.
Wow.
We cannot wait to hear you, Kechi, so best of luck.
Thank you.
So last week we started our interview with Kechi Okwuchi, plane crash survivor, America's Got Talent finalist. She is a good singer, TEDx speaker, author, and much more. And this week we have part 2 where we wrap things up as she shares how is it that she made it onto America's Got Talent, getting that golden buzzer from Simon Cowell, and using her voice through singing and speaking to reach the lives of millions across the globe.
So even if I'm lying down horizontal on a hospital bed and can't move, I can still open my mouth and I can sing.
Stay tuned.
Special thanks to our partners, the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Kingston's preferred choice. Stars Publicity for all your public relations and publicity needs. Get noticed and align with the stars. DG's Health and Wellness Center, operated by certified nutritionist and health columnist Donovan Grant. Contact them today for all your weight loss and other nutritional needs. And Care is Beauty for all your skincare goals and more. Get 5% off each purchase from them using the discount code TAMARA5OFF. Learn more details on all these partners as well as links to their website by visiting the description box on the TrailBlazers with Tamar McHale YouTube channel.
What's your word to them?
I would say to fight. Fight for your dreams, fight for your purpose.
Life that inspires you, that motive that you aspire to be.
I'm meaningful and critical. It's not a waste time movement, yeah, man.
In my humble opinion, is become very comfortable with yourself.
Very important. You know, the saying in Jamaica, one hand can't clap.
You forgive yourself for allowing people to mistreat you.
Disciplines that we need to embody.
You just have to work at it and be committed. Everyone.
And it's scary to have all of that fall away from you. And you have to celebrate those wins. Work with fitness clients.
For guidance, rely on Christ for support.
And no rush. I did it. I made my move into entrepreneurship at 40.
So chicken, so scared that when...
What, last comments would you want to share with
you? Have your core values, you do the right things, it'll fall in place for you.
All right, Kechi, so welcome back to the TrailBlazers. Oh my gosh, so we had an awesome conversation in our part 1, and as we continue part 2 of this interview for our TrailBlazers who are so hooked in hearing your story, we're so amazed at your strength. We're so amazed at your tenacity. And so let's move forward. The last thing we had touched on was as it relates to purpose for you. You, even in that midst of that plane crash, 109 people on board, 107 died. You were one of 2 survivors, burns to your body. And then, recovering, physically, but also psychologically. And then finding your voice, literally, through singing.
That's true.
Tell us now how all of that unfolded and the journey of America's Got Talent.
So with the voice and the singing, that's something that definitely took me and my mom especially by surprise. I did love singing even while I was a kid. I grew up with music like anyone else, and I used to sing in school when I was a teenager for my friends, just for fun. And as I grew older, my voice was getting better. But then after the accident, there was definitely a significant shift that no one can really explain. I just remember the first time I sang after the accident, I did not sound like I remembered sounding. Something was different. Something was definitely different. And my mom, I remember, she was like, that's not how you used to sound. And I was like, I know. I don't know what's going on. And I remember we didn't question it. We didn't ask too many. We weren't very curious about how this is the case or whatever. My lungs were fine. There was nothing weird that as far as we knew internally, that could have caused this. So we just took it as just one more good thing, out of everything here that happened that was so tragic. Music is something that was it was such a positive part of my life. It was a light. It was something that I could do no matter what state I was in. So even if I'm lying down horizontal on a hospital bed and can't move, I can still open my mouth and I can sing. And that was something that brought me so much joy. So the music and the singing became a source of joy and positivity for me. Lying in a hospital bed, I may not be able to move, but the one thing I could do was sing. And I usually did. I sang through a lot of pain. I sang through a lot of, like, it distracted me, in a very beautiful way. And I was so grateful that I had this thing that was just one good thing, that I could always look forward to having and enjoying. And it became my ultimate escape from the pain and the difficulties of living as a burn survivor, and even more so after South Africa. So after South Africa, a year passed and I moved to America, which is where I started my reconstructive surgery with Shriners Hospitals for Children. And Shriners, based in Galveston, Texas, was an incredible hospital because not only do they care for my physical treatment and my physical injuries, they also had this very holistic approach to healing for each patient. So when they realized I love to sing, they incorporated music into my treatment and my therapy. So while I would have physical therapy, I would also have music therapy. And music therapy was so much fun. Like, it was so wonderful. There was nothing painful about holding the mic and singing, and so I always looked forward to it. And I actually had my very first concert in Shriners for the kids that were in the hospital. So that was like my first taste of, like, performing, quote unquote. And I realized that I loved it. But even then, despite how much I knew I loved music, it was never going to be something I would consider as a career path because, number one, I didn't think my voice was good enough for that, like to pursue singing professionally. And then secondly, I definitely felt like, I don't see a lot of people that look like me, doing music or on TV. So the chances of that happening, if I try to pursue that as a career, would be slim to none. So I focused on academia and I went back to high school, finished high school, went to college on a scholarship, finished college. And it was actually a year after I graduated from my bachelor's, while I was doing my master's, that America's Got Talent happened. So this was in 2016. So a long time passed. So far, all I had done with music was singing in church. Like, to me, that was already stepping out of my comfort zone. That was me not singing in my living room anymore, So for me, I was already doing what I could with my voice. I was never going to sign up for a show like America's Got Talent, which is why one of my best friends signed me up without telling me. So that's actually how I ended up on the show.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Really?
I would never have done that for myself. I know I would never have taken that step. She always used to tell me, and my dad too.
Yeah.
They would be like, I should sign up for something. I should do that. I should do that. At that point, I was just singing for fun for my family. I would record music and I would send to literally just my family members. And my friend was just sick and tired of it. And she was like, I don't understand. If I were you, I would I would go on one of these shows.
Right.
But I would just be like, whatever. I just brush it off. I was in school. I had all these excuses. I was working. So, I didn't have time. So she went on the online application and she applied as me and put in her email address so that even if I was rejected, she would be the one that gets it, not me. So eventually I got a phone call from an agent from AGT who said she saw my application. And I just called my friend after that phone call, like, what is going on? What just happened? And essentially, that's pretty much how one of my best friends changed my life.
Wow, girl.
Literally.
That's amazing.
No, she took that step for me.
Yeah, that's a wonderful friend. That's an amazing friend. So when that unfolded and you got that call, what happened? I mean, the journey to standing before even
oh my gosh,
and all of that experience.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Honestly, it's crazy because even up until the moment I was standing on that stage, I still didn't believe it would get to that point. Like, I had no clue that they were actually serious about having me on the show. Like, as time passed since the first phone call, I just kept on waiting for someone to just be like, okay, well, we tried, but it's, better luck next time. It's not going to work out. Like, I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop because I just didn't think they would actually seriously put me on TV. Like, I didn't believe that would happen.
People fall in love in mysterious ways. Maybe just the touch of a
And so every stage, when the agent reached out to me and other people will start reaching out to me, asking me about songs I like, I'll just be like, is this actually happening for real, for real? And I didn't even tell my mom about it until for sure, like it seemed like they were serious. Because I didn't want to like bring it up and make it a thing and like say it out loud unless it was for sure a thing. But it got to a point where I had to tell her because it was getting like pretty serious. And I remember both of us were just, I don't even know, we don't even know what this is. Like, I didn't even sign up for this. So, like, I don't even know what God is planning here. Like, I didn't even put myself out there. Like, this is literally Him using someone else to put me out there, like, literally shove me out there. And I felt like, I felt even more like, this was definitely a God thing because I didn't have anything to do with it. It was a path He put into, it was like a new path he created out of the path I was currently on. And I was too curious not to walk down that path and see what happened. So that was my outlook. It was like, let's see what happens. I didn't want to put anything more than that into it. Any hopes that, I would advance to the next stage or anything. It was just a matter of enjoying each moment and just enjoying each moment as it came and just seeing what happens. So every time I went forward, further and further, I was shocked, like, okay, so I'm actually still here. Okay, well, thank God, we'll keep on enjoying this. So I treated every single moment as if it was my last moment on that stage because I just didn't want to give myself too much hope. And I was really honestly grateful to get even to that point where I had that very first meeting in front of those judges. It was incredible and scary as heck. I was terrified. That first time, I did not prepare myself for how nervous I would be.
Hello.
Hello.
And what's your name?
My name is Kechi.
Kechi, where are you from, darling?
I'm from Nigeria, but I live in Houston right now.
Why America's Got Talent?
I want to share my voice with America's Got Talent.
How many years have you been singing for?
Since I was about 7 or 8.
Okay.
But only very seriously about 12 years now.
And what got you into singing?
Well, I was in a plane crash when I was 16 years old back in Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
It took the lives of 107 out of 109 passengers, and I was one of the 2 survivors.
How do you actually deal with that afterwards, Kechi?
Well, lying in the hospital bed with like bandaged head to foot, not being able to move or do anything else, music was my escape, and that's why it means so much to me.
Oh my God.
Wow. I'm not really used to being very nervous, just in general. But when it comes to my voice, I'm a little more, I guess, sensitive. I think it's because, I don't know, I just feel like I'm definitely my worst critic, but also I just feel like I'm always struggling with whether or not my voice is good enough for any of this, So up until that moment, really, it was like, is this really happening? Like, am I about to sing in front of Simon? Like we all know Simon, how he feels. He's not gonna, like, of all people, he's gonna tell me what he really thinks. He's gonna tell me the truth.
He's gonna tell you the truth. He's gonna be blunt.
When I heard him say that he thought my voice was good, it felt like the best validation I could get from a complete stranger who had no reason to make me feel good about myself, who had no reason to say anything for my benefit, so I could trust what he said. And it definitely increased my confidence in my voice, for sure. So after that first audition, I got the 4 yeses. I moved to the judge cuts. But when I got to that second stage, I was already like, thank God, I can't believe I made it this far. I'm grateful, Lord. If this is where things end, thank you for taking me even further than I expected. And then before I knew it, I was moving on to the live shows. Like, it was surreal. Like, my mom, everyone was just like, this is crazy. Is this actually happening? And that was me for the whole time. Like, up until the finale, it was like, I cannot believe I'm still on this stage. This is crazy. And like, yeah, just the response that I got from everyone that was watching the show, but also especially from my fellow Nigerians who were just so proud of me and so happy and eager to support me. I mean, honestly, my life changed being on that show. Like, it changed completely and opened up a whole new world and a whole new career path for me. Being on that show. Yeah, for sure. It was crazy.
More than awesome. And I mean, just the electrifying moment of the live audience, the support of your Nigerians, the support of persons all across the globe.
Yep.
Because I remember actually seeing you as well. And being like, wow, this is so inspirational, you know. So to see you shine and love on yourself and be doing this, I'm sure many would have been inspired by you as well. And that leads to, you know, also the next step of your journey. You continue singing, yes?
Yes, I did.
Also
Yes.
released, you can tell us about your music that you've also released.
Mm-hmm.
But also going into being a speaker and a TEDx speaker at that.
Yes,
that's no ordinary thing. Tell us about that.
So, yeah, what happened after the show was seriously incredible. You know, before the show, my life was steeped in academia. As I said, I was pursuing economics, like long term. My plan was still is actually, to finish my master's in economics. I got my bachelor's. I was going to get my PhD. And that was my goal. Like, my goal was to one day work in the UN. That was the trajectory that I was on with my life. But when America's Got Talent happened, it completely veered me off into a whole new, like, avenue, you know, and a whole new path of like possibilities and opportunities that I could not ignore. Because at the end of the day, the truth was that singing was my true passion. That's what I love to do with my whole soul. And I had a lot of experience speaking as well. That was something that I felt like I was good at even before the accident happened. And now it looked like I was going to be given the opportunity to explore these two things that I actually love and I'm passionate about as careers. Like, people actually paying me to do these things. So at first, it was a very tentative step I took into that world. But once I saw the response people were having, like, to my singing and my speaking, it became more obvious that this was something I was supposed to do with my life, at least at this stage. And what AGT did was to give me a platform like I would never have had if I was not on the show, to and use my story and my voice now to inspire people in a positive way, to make them see in a very like real way, like in their face, that there is life after trauma. And it's not just to survive the trauma, there's life that can be thrived in after trauma. I wanted to show people that with my life. And the show gave me a platform to do exactly that. This is something I was already doing on Facebook in a way, because I had in 2011, I opened up, my aunt actually opened a Facebook page for me, because we used to get a lot of requests after I moved to America from people just worldwide, but mostly Nigerians, who wanted to keep track with my surgeries and my healing and my journey pretty much as a survivor, burn survivor. So we opened that page. So every time I had surgery, I would post it there. I would post clips of my life. And I was already building a pretty steady following before the show happened on Facebook, specifically. People who were just supporting me. I just wanted to see me grow. So I was already used to kind of putting my life out there, you know, and hoping that it makes someone inspired to live their own lives in their own way. So now I had an even bigger platform to build on. You know, I could build more on that and across all different kinds of social platforms. So that's what AGC did for me. It gave me that exposure that I needed to build a brand around motivation and around authenticity, because that's really what it comes down to for me. Being your authentic self in every situation as much as possible. That is me, the true path to happiness, because that way you can carry, that's something you can carry into whatever you decide to do with your life.
All right, so Kechi, so moving forward now, you have, you know, you're a singer, you have your music out there, you're doing some great things, also a singer.
Thank you.
And just doing those amazing things. How do you feel each time when someone, you know, comes up to you and tells you that, listen, your story has inspired me this or to that? You know, how do you feel about it? And also, why do you think it's crucial? Because you use that word thrive, and I like it. How crucial is it to thrive after trauma?
Every single time I give a speech somewhere, or I talk, or whether it's Zoom, whether it's in person, or I sing, whatever it is I may be doing, I'm speaking to a crowd of people. You know, I'm singing to a crowd of people. It can be 50, it can be 100, it can be as many as 50,000. But for me, I think that whenever I attend these things, there's certain people that my message is for in that moment. And no matter how many people are listening to me, if just one person comes to me telling me that they feel inspired, or if they don't even come to me and they just go home feeling that way, then I feel like what I was supposed to do has been fulfilled in that moment. Because I think that's the point. It's not about the numbers, it's about reaching people, even if it's one at a time. And that's really all I want my story to do. I want people to not just marvel like, oh my God, yeah, I survived the plane crash. I mean, it's not that I did that by myself, but I want people to see what I did even after this thing happened to me. I want them to use that as an example to see that they can do that for whatever their own trauma or obstacle is in their own lives. Because a lot of times we're so crippled by the things that happen to us. And it's understandable, because we're human and we feel things so deeply. But I want people to know that it's okay to to be in that dark place and to grieve and to mourn when things happen, but to stay there permanently, that's where you can't let yourself do that. If you let yourself stay in that place permanently, there will be no growth, and there will be no I guess 'cause after things happen to us, we tend to look for the reason why. And even though a lot of times you can go through your entire life not seeing that reason why, I feel like there's always a purpose behind everything that happens. And the only way you can find it is if you come out of that place. So allow yourself the chance to grieve and to feel sad when bad things happen, because we're human. But don't let yourself stay in that place. And I want to use my life as an example. Everything I say whenever I go out to talk, all I can ever do is base things on my own personal experience. That's what gives me the courage and the confidence to speak with conviction when I tell people things, because I've tried and tested this. I've done this myself. I know that it works. And so I want people to access that inside themselves. I think we all have it, the ability to dig deep and pull out that thing that would help you overcome this obstacle and prepare you for the next one. And so I want people to access that inside themselves. It doesn't have to your obstacle doesn't have to be as big as a plane crash. Whatever it is, if it's trauma, if it's traumatic to you, that's all that matters. And I want people to see that there's a way out of that place, and that you don't only have to survive what happened to you, you can thrive after. Because I think a lot of times also I focus on that because we feel like, just surviving this thing alone was like a miracle in itself. And so you feel like anything that you do from that point is perfectly, like it's just one more day that you have that you almost didn't have. And that is true. But we also tend to kind of limit ourselves and our abilities, after we survive certain traumas. And the fact is, like, when we survive these things, we're superheroes. We become even stronger versions of ourselves, so we can accomplish more. So I want people to see that you don't have to live like a life of like barely hanging on just because you went through something difficult. You can still thrive in whatever field you want to thrive in. You can still, like, there is still room for all of us who have gone through stuff to enjoy life. It's not just go through the motions, enjoy it. And I want people to see that, so I try to show. It's not like I'm saying that you should, do things like just be crazy and do crazy things all the time, but I'm just saying even the little things, going out for brunch, going to an amusement park, hanging out with your friends, little things that like people like that you almost didn't have. I think that, those are the things that that make life fun, and you can still, you're allowed to still have fun even after you've gone through something hard. So I feel like, a lot of times we don't permit ourselves to enjoy certain things because we've gone through certain things, but that's not the way it's supposed to be.
That is, and I agree with that, because what you are speaking to is that even going through certain circumstances, you shouldn't just live, with a fulfilling life.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I definitely agree with that. Okay, so finally winding down to part two of this interview. When I told a friend of mine that I was going to interview, and she asked, does she still fly on a plane? And I was like, that's a very interesting question. I know from her. So have you flown again since, or no?
That's the main way I travel, actually. There's no getting around it. Like, if I limit myself to only where I can drive to, I'm pretty much not going to go anywhere. Like, I can't even do like the job that before like this career path I've chosen, which requires me to travel at least 4 or 5 times a month. I was already traveling before that. Like right after the accident happened, I had to fly from South Africa back home, you know. I had to fly to South Africa right after it happened, but that time I was unconscious. I was in a coma. But flying home, well, they also put me in I was on a lot of medication coming home also because my doctors were worried about my mental state coming home. But the point being, I had to get on planes right after I was on one that crashed.
Well, I mean, we know that because you had to fly ready for
Yeah, exactly. So that's the one I remember. That's my first trip that I remember. The one from Nigeria to America a year after.
I think what she meant though was like
how I felt.
No, like you can fly otherwise for obviously like commercial purposes.
Oh, I see. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing. It started with the necessary flights, but once those happened, then I mean, it's all the same, you know. So it was like, yeah, you have to fly from Nigeria. Well, I will say international flights. Obviously, you know, you would feel like, I mean, it's not a local flight, so maybe it's safer, and that's probably true, especially since we're talking about Nigeria, which is a developing country and all that, which is where my accident happened. But like after I flew here to America, flying was just like still a part of it. It was just like, what are you gonna do? Like you can't, if you want to get somewhere, you have to get there quickly, and if you want to get there quickly, you have to fly. Like are you gonna just never fly? Like it wasn't realistic. Like what are you supposed to do? So like for me it was like, well dang, I guess I'm gonna have to still keep flying. I mean, oh well. But I will say though, like it helps that like my first few like I guess what's the word, just commercial flights after the accident were in America, where like they don't exactly have plane crashes like they do all the time in Nigeria. Like Nigeria has way more of a high rate of that happening than America ever does. And when they do crash here, it's like usually crash landing. There's always like, people don't usually die. Like it's so here safety is taken much more seriously. So it definitely gave me more of like an assurance that I'll be fine. Yeah. So I will say that the flying itself, it's something I've always enjoyed, and I really resent the accident for trying to take that away from me, because I truly always enjoyed like the joy, like how incredible it is to like just fly. I've always enjoyed the experience. So I'm really happy that like even after the accident happened and I was flying again like normal, that was something that didn't really leave. I still kind of like was in awe of it. But I will say that for the first few, like not few, maybe the first 8-9 years after, there was a reaction I couldn't control whenever the plane's about to land. Just that moment when the wheels are about to touch the ground, my heart would start pounding, and like I would have to hold on to something, like either the chair or my mom, whoever I'm traveling with. If I'm close to them, I'd hold their hand. But it was something, obviously a reaction from something I can't remember, obviously, from the accident. So that's something I couldn't control for a long time. Just that few seconds right after the plane, we're descending and we're now about to touch ground on the runway. I just have this moment of anxiety that like I cannot avoid. But like that stopped happening about 2015, I want to say. So wow, I think like 10 years after the accident, yeah, that's when that started happening. Like I started, yeah, it took a while. But it didn't stop me from flying. It was just one thing I knew that, oh well, when the plane's about to land, it's gonna happen. Yeah. But like for the rest of the flight, I was usually fine. Now flying in Nigeria after the accident, that was different though, because I did it, I was fine. It's just that to me was more significant because that was me trusting this country again with my life that almost tried to take it from me on a plane. But also I thought, hey, the worst has already happened to me, truly. Like really, this is what everyone dreads when they fly. Like that something like this would happen. Like it's already happened. So like really and truly, it's done. So at this point, I have nothing else to lose. And that's really how I see it. So yeah.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you overcoming fears. I'm so proud of your story. I'm so proud of you as a young woman just doing amazing things. Inspired us as young people as well to live without them. Okay, so my final question as we wrap up this part 2 interview, which actually I think this is our first. Yeah, this is our first part 2. that we've done since having the program.
Oh, yay. I'm honored. That's so cool.
So we really do appreciate it. What are your rules for overcoming fears and living your best life? Your rules for success is to overcome fears and live your best life. And it applies to just about anybody.
I think something that stuck to me, I went to an event right after AGT, one of my first few events. Like, there was a lady that was accepting an award, and she said something that stuck to me. And it was that the best things in life happen outside your comfort zone. And when I thought about that phrase, I realized how true it was. Because every incredible, extraordinary thing that has happened in my life since the accident happened, they were all things that I did not know what would happen now. Like, I'm a planner. Not really planner, but I'm someone that doesn't really like surprises in life. I like to know what the end result will be when I do something. Kind of like when you study. If you study, like, your grade is going to be based off of how much you study. If you study completely, you're more likely to get an A. If you don't, you get a B, that kind of thing. So I like knowing the consequences, what they're going to be. If you work out, you're going to lose weight, you're going to get healthier, But all the incredible things that have happened in my life, I had no clue what would happen. They were always a risk. It was always just jump, and you don't know how deep the water is going to be. And every single time, the most incredible things have happened from that. The number one thing was the TEDx. I had no clue if I would be good enough for that. I almost turned it down, but I was like, you know what? Like, if they ask for me, then maybe they see something that maybe I'm struggling to see. And, I wouldn't find out what that thing is if I don't try. So I took that jump and I did it. And I'm so grateful how well it went. Another one was America's Got Talent. I had no clue what would happen putting myself out there like that and allowing my friend to do what she did. But I was like, hey, let's just see what happens, And all this stuff was born from that. I feel incredibly blessed that I've experienced these things that I've experienced, and I would not have experienced them if I had not been willing to take that risk. So, risk is scary. It's always going to be scary. But one thing I always like to say is, the thing is, it's scary to take a risk, and while you're doing the thing, it's also scary too, because you don't know if you're going to fail or you're going to do well. So to me, if there's fear either way, then I'm going to choose my fear, and I'm going to choose to be afraid while doing the thing than be afraid of doing the thing.
That
So
is so true. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
just choose your fear. It's going to be scary either way. At least one way, you don't have regrets, because you're always going to wonder, like, oh, what if I did this? And I hate what ifs. So to avoid as many what ifs as possible, I would say,
go for it.
Go for it, because the best things in life definitely, I think, happen outside your comfort zone. So take that chance, really. See what happens. See what happens, yeah.
We take a risk, take a chance, make a change, get outside your comfort zone, see what happens, live your best life. Oh my gosh, we could continue this interview. It's been such an amazing experience.
Thank you so much.
Program. Okwuchi. I mean, she is not only a plane crash survivor, she's a thriver. America's Got Talent, finalist. I mean, so many things, a TEDx speaker, and so much more. We didn't even touch on your work with.
Oh my gosh, I have a book coming out. That's so true.
And all the advocacy. Listen, guys, just Google her, check her out on YouTube. Check out social media platforms.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Just check her out and you will see the amazing work that she's doing. Make sure you follow, subscribe, like, everything.
Yes, everything. I'm everywhere. I have a book coming out next year, so that's like the main thing I'm promoting now. It's really, 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 really nerve-wracking to know that people are going to read about my life, but we'll see how it goes. It's next year, so.
The book is going to be awesome.
Amen. Amen. I pray so. I pray so.
Well, because you not only do have a story, but you are a wonderful and charming and beautiful person, and we are happy that you are living and thriving your best self. So thank you so much for sharing on the program. I hope I get to meet you in person one of these days, sooner than later. I know it's going to happen.
Amen. I hope so.
Or again in person.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank you. Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Hey everyone, I am Tamar McHale, television and radio presenter, producer, communication specialist, and of course producer and host of the TrailBlazers series. Thank you so much for tuning in, and stay alerted to this channel just by clicking the subscribe button, hitting the notification bell. We have weekly inspirational episodes. Thank you. See you next week.